when we want to move stuff to the opposite side, we have to do the opposite. And by opposite side, I'm talking about across the equal sign. So if I have to take this 2x and move it over here, so it's with this x, I got to do the opposite, so that's where we use the inverse operation. Positive 2x and negative 2x adds to be 0, and we can relocate it to the other side of the equation, okay? So same side, you do the same thing. If you're moving to the opposite side, you do the opposite thing, okay? So, and that's what, really important that we get that cleaned up so that everyone's doing it correctly. All right. So a little bit of notes again today, and then you have a worksheet, and you should have no trouble getting that worksheet finished. So example 1, solve the equation. Remember to write example 1 in the directions.
I'm up there a little bit, but
Okay. Solve the equation. Letter A is -3 times the quantity 1 mom plus 6r is equal to 14 minus r. And we have grouping symbols. What do we need to do first? By parentheses, you mean do stuff inside the parentheses? So that's a good, okay, good. -3 times 1. And what's that called when we do -3 times 1? Distribute. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. Distribute. Distribute. So we need to distribute the -3. And you'll notice we're distributing that whole -3. Take the sign along for the ride. All right. -3 times 1 is -3. -3 times positive 6r is -18r. Don't leave off your variables. Equals 14 minus r. And I like to ask this question. What number is in front of r here? 1? It is a -1. Always including the sign. There isn't a number like a 2 or a 3 or 4, then it's a 1. So go ahead and plug it in. It's a -1 there. All right, so now we've got this pretty nice little package here, and we need to do some relocating. What do you guys want to relocate? The r. So we're going to move this r over to the left side here. So how do we do that? Add 1r. Add 1r. -1r and +1r add to be 0. And then on the left-hand side, now we have -18r's plus an r is -17r's is equal to 14. Now what do you want to do? Add 3. So again, opposite sign because we're going to the opposite side of the equation. -3 and +3 is 0. And we're left with -17r is equal to 17. And then what do you need to do? Divide by -17. I love how you said the sign. Really important that you -17 divided by -17 turns into +1, +1r, which is what we're always looking for. And what do we get on the right? -1. +17 divided by -17 is a -1. When the signs are different, it's negative. When the signs match, it's positive. When you multiply and divide. Okay, good, super, excellent. Letter B, harder, a little bit more challenging. 10 times the quantity x plus 3 minus the quantity -9x minus 4 equals x minus 5 plus 3. What do you want to do first? Distribute the 10. Okay, let's distribute that 10. Multiply that in there. 10 times x is 10x. 10 times 3 is positive 30. We want to make sure we have a sign in there. Positive 30. All right, what else do we need to do? The negative 1. Good, I heard that. Distribute the negative 1. Yeah, we have a negative sign out in front of a grouping symbol. And I like to make that into, you can think about it always as a negative 1. And we need to distribute that because it's saying we need to subtract this entire group. So we have to subtract each term in there. So let's go ahead and distribute that negative 1. So negative 1 times negative 9x, positive 9x. Negative 1 times negative 4, positive 4. All right, that's going to be equal to x. And what can we do here with these things on the same side? Combine them. What is a negative 5 and a positive 3? Negative 2. So these are on the same side. Nothing fancy there. You just do what it says. So on the left-hand side now, what should we do? Combine terms. Combine like terms. 10x and 9x make 19x's. And let me get another color because it's fun for me. Positive 30 and positive 4 make positive 34 is equal to that x minus 2. This is a nice neat little package here, all cleaned up. And now we can start relocating things to other sides. So what do you want to do first? Subtract 1x, subtract 1x. Good. So 19x's minus 1x is 18x's. Plus 34 is equal to negative 2. Now what? Subtract 34. Yeah, let's get the numbers over here to this right-hand side so we can get that variable by itself. So we're going to subtract 34 from both sides. So we have 18x's is equal to, what are negative 2 and a negative 34? Negative 36. Very good. And then what? Divide by 18. Divide by 18. So when I was looking at your homework, I noticed quite a few people just sort of stopped right here and they're like, oh, those numbers are too big. Really, in real life, there are numbers bigger than 20. And you'll see that on these worksheets. I know it's shocking because I've seen the numbers they use these days in Algebra 1, and they're all whole numbers. There's no fractions. There's no decimals. To me, it's like, what? So don't stop. What is negative 36 divided by 18? Negative 2. Very good. You have the use of calculators. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to bring a calculator. Maybe you don't have a graphing calculator yet. Bring in a scientific calculator. Check a calculator out from the finance office. Get a graphing calculator from the finance office or purchase, $40 graphing calculator. You will use it every day. I promise you. Okay? All right. What can you do to check your answers? Ask your partners. Ask your neighbors. What else can you use to check your answers? The key, or we got a worksheet today, so there's a key at the back on the round table. And then what is your method you want to know how to do on test day? Plug it in, plug it in. All right, plug it in and check for balance. And the nice thing is, like I'm gonna check letter A here. We said R was equal to negative 1, so I want to plug in a negative 1 to each of these R's. I'm gonna go ahead and check up here. Negative 3 times the quantity 1 plus 6, and I'm plugging in that negative 1, is supposed to equal 14 minus the R of negative 1. The nice thing is, if you have a calculator, I can plug in that entire side, that entire left-hand side on my calculator. So negative 3, parentheses, 1 plus 6 parentheses negative 1. If you do it carefully, that left-hand side in itself equals 15. And what does the right-hand side equal? 15. And so did we do it right? Yes, because the left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side. Okay? So your calculator can be a really useful tool for checking, as long as you plug it in carefully. Okay? So I encourage you to do that on 1 or 2 of these questions today, just to make sure. Can you get an answer of x equals 0? Yes, you can. 0 is in fact a number. And it could potentially be an answer that when you plug in 0, the left and the right-hand side balance. So don't be shocked when you get a few answers that happen to be 0. It is possible. There is also a possibility that maybe your variables cancel themselves out. And so you're left with an equation where your variables no longer exist and you've got like 112 is equal to 124. Does 112 ever equal 124? No, not on planet Earth. This is a false statement. It is not possible. So when those variables cancel themselves out and you no longer have an x, a y, or an r or z, and you end up with a false statement, that means there is no possible solution. Okay? And so one of those does appear today as well. Okay? It is possible to get no solution. It's also possible to get infinite solutions, but there aren't any on this worksheet. Okay? All right, ladies and gentlemen, do you have questions for me? Okay. All right, I will pass out that worksheet.